I got it on a Monday after a whirlwind weekend where all sorts of stuff happened. Man, chopper crash in Huntington Beach, had a car show. Of course, peace broke out in the Middle East thanks to the greatest president of all time, Donald J. Trump. AB 495 was signed into law by by Newsom. We have trouble in Houston, as they say. Houston, we have a problem. Man, watch out for your kids. They're coming. A a Harupa Valley man was arrested in Mexico on attempted murder charges on a deputy from a case that was going on over a year ago. No driver's licenses for those not eligible in this country. Who's going to be wearing a MAGA hat? That and much, much more. So the local news too. If we do this, here's somebody caught, or a lot of people were catching the video of a chopper. It's owned by Nixon Air Service out of Mentone, which he does a lot of, stunt flying and stuff like that. He was coming into a car show, car and copter show, I believe, down in Huntington Beach. Here's some of the video. There you see the chopper coming in. You can see it spinning out of control. And then, boom, there she hits the ground and takes out a few palm trees. The latest we have is 5 were injured. Fortunately, nobody passed away on this. And to go with the Schumer shutdown, there will be no NTSB report because they said, oh, because of the government shutdown. They're still working, so I don't know. Maybe they're running a political statement or whatever, but I thought that was odd. You wouldn't get that normally in a deal like this. One punch and you're down. This is a big guy. It looks like he was said to be over 300 pounds. He's in a Stater Brothers parking lot in Santiana. It's ABC 7 report.
One punch takedown in a Stater Brothers parking lot caught on camera. Let's back it up a little bit. Santa Ana police say the big fellow is Jose Prado and that he was loading up his truck with items he did not pay for. Store employees confronted him, but he responded aggressively and they were clearly intimidated by his size. That's when the guy in the shorts and brown shirt walks up and lays Prado out with one punch.
That was a pretty good shot. And I can tell you, I've seen up close and personal 150-pound guy knock out a 250-pound dude in one punch. So that was it's not impossible. In fact, it's very probable if you know how to defend yourself. And I suggest everybody, not only with firearms training, and even if you're not comfortable with firearms, if you and pepper spray, have something and take some self-defense courses. Either you can take, there's all kinds of guys. There are Riverside, Moreno Valley, San Bernardino, Paris, Temecula, Palm Springs, Hemet. There's all sorts of, whoever you're comfortable with, but it pays to learn self-defense techniques because you cannot predict the situation that you might be in. Maybe the greatest president, I don't know, some great ones. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, John Kennedy, Ronald Reagan. But Trump's working on, if not being in the top 3, maybe the greatest president of all time. He brokered the peace deal between Hamas and Israel. 48 prisoners were released. most of them, the 20 live ones were dead. 20 live ones were released. The 28 dead ones, there's still a couple they say, well, they're maybe buried under rubble or some, but most of the remains of those were released to their families. But it was a monumental task. Trump got it done. Now, really, the only thing he has to check off the list on the war machine is Ukraine versus Russia, which he thought was going to be the easiest, which turns out to be the hardest, which that usually happens in most cases. We'll have some of the Menashems that went on at the Knesset, which he gave a speech today, which is the legislative body of Israel out there, and more as we roll along. They made an arrest. The fugitive arrested for attempted murder of a Riverside County deputy. It was over a year ago. He's a Harupa Valley man, and they finally found him in Mexico almost a year. We've got again some video footage from the sheriff's department on that from a year ago when they were looking to him. So good job. That was a combination between our local law enforcement and federal U.S. Marshals to find Martin Perez Jr. and arrest him, and hopefully, if not already, bring him back to the U.S. to face trial in that. We get into Kamala Harris and Columbus Day, but we do want to acknowledge today is Columbus Day, when they discovered America, came over from Spain, proved the earth wasn't flat, as they say. But you know, all the machinations and good, and this is what makes Trump's great. He put Columbus Day back in. Remember, Biden was going Indigenous Day and all that. But if it wasn't for Christopher Columbus and that, you would not know the modern day superpower of America as you know it today. And we'll get into some of the history of that here in a bit. See what's next up on the hit parade? Yes. Based on that deal in Florida, where a dude had a California driver's license, so it had many crashes and stuff, then finally had a big fatal crash. They're finally cracking down on commercial driver's licenses. And if you're not eligible to have one, you should not have one. Here's another on the ABC7 report trying to tug at the emotional heartstrings again.
Last week, Vivek Sharma went to the DMV to renew his trucking license, but he was denied. The problem? New rules surrounding the process.
जिनके पास ग्रीन कार्ड है या सिटीजन है उनका ही चलेगा भाई.
As he explains in Hindi, only green card holders and U.S. citizens
As he explains in Hindi. As he explains in Hindi. Dude, you are supposed to know English because the signs to direct you to make everybody safe, to get everybody where they're going on the roads are in English. That's why you should be proficient. That's why you have to be, by law, proficient in English to drive a commercial vehicle. And I would say to drive any vehicle, motorcycle, car, these electric bikes, or whatever, motorcycle.
can get their commercial driver's license renewed. Sharma's been in the U.S. legally for the past 10 years, seeking political asylum. His final court cases.
What the hell? 10 years seeking political asylum? That's ridiculous. I mean, he should either have been a citizen or not.
Next year. He's been driving a truck for the past 8 years, but now he can't. अब क्या करें आप?
अभी क्या कुछ लोकल जॉब देखेंगे?
When asked what comes next, he says he's worried. Trucking paid well. The sudden stop in income means he won't have money to send back to his family in
What the hell? He won't have money to send back to his family in India? Not that if you want to be a United States citizen and do that, first, learn the laws. You're supposed to learn English. Ask Hillary Clinton. She said that about 8 years ago running for president. Back in 15, 16 era. And go back at that. That's the law. You're driving a truck and you can't even speak English? I don't care if you've been doing it for 8 years. I'm glad he's off the road. He's a safety hazard. How many more people got to get killed? Jeez. The insanity of some of this stuff. Holy bejesus. You know, I talked a lot about the racism, really where it's coming from. Here's a short clip.
They were so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country. Well,
And here I was thinking that The View would finally wake up and stop pushing propaganda and do some self reflection. Boy, was I wrong. They're still pushing the race and gender narrative. You do realize the nonsense that you continue to spew helped get Trump elected, right?
Yes. There's the racism. Oh, them evil white boys against the Jew, against the black woman, who's not really a black woman, but maybe she's a black woman. But we can use that. Guess who's going to be wearing the MAGA hat on The View? Let's see if they will hold to their word. It's, man, some of the stuff, and it just comes out more and more every day. They were playing fast and loose. They're from Barack Obama on down to the CIA, to the Vice President Biden, to Hillary Clinton, to the CIA, the FBI, everybody else was colluding in 15 and 16 to stop Donald Trump, colluding in 20 to steal an election to put Joe Biden in. And we're still working at it in 2024, except they were just being a little more stealth about it. We'll have more on that later on, hopefully, or later on in the week. And this is what it's all about. Follow the money. Democrats fundraise off of the Schumer shutdown, while Jeffries vows not a chance of backing down. This will end. This will end when they stop fundraising on it. When the dollars stop coming in. When the bucks stop coming in. That is when you will see the Schumer shutdown. You'll see the 60 votes to get closure. They'll pass the CR and it'll be all over. All you have to do is follow the money. Some interesting stats. This is Purdue and Rivco, but this will confirm my 30-40-30 scenario that I said is the way of the country. And we'll have some stats, and again, maybe not later on in the week. Voter registration in California the past 60 years. I bet it'll surprise most people. Gavin Newsom signs in AB 495. All you ladies love Gavin Newsom. Every day, you're ceding control of your kids to Gavin Newsom in the state. AB 495 puts every child at risk. We got this and much, much more to come on this Columbus Day, the day modern America was discovered. Yes, it was. What a glorious day that was. We'll get to some of the hypocrisy, racism, and everything that's been surrounding Columbus Day. And it may not be where some of you think it is, but you have to deal with things as they are, not how you wish them to be. And we seem to have a big problem of acknowledging that. But I want to get back to the video of the young man who called out the racism on The View. Oh, I thought Kamala was going to get elected because she's a black woman. Maybe she's not black, but we'll pretend she is. And she's married to a Jew. But, those evil white boys wouldn't vote for them because they're a bunch of racist hillbillies, yada, yada, yada. This is why. This is one main reason why Trump is your 47th president in the United States.
It wasn't only white people voting for Trump. There's many people who look like me who voted for him. There's many Latinos who voted for him. There's many Asians who voted for him. People from all kinds of backgrounds voted for him. This was about policy for us. Democrats chose a candidate who's been in office as vice president for the last 4 years and helped the current president implement policies that affected our lives in a negative way. Come outside of your bubble. Talk to some real Americans. Why do you think independents showed up for Donald Trump? Democrats have lost their way. They're more worried about dividing Americans by gender, by race, by this, by that, than actually making America better. We don't care what the gender is of the politician. We don't care what the race is of the politician. We care about their policies and how they're going to affect our lives. This isn't rocket science. It's the day of reckoning. The American people are taking their country back from the establishment, back from you elitists that are clueless about what everyday Americans are facing.
So we could spray paint Donald Trump with a very dark brown skin tone. We could dye his hair black and put it in a fro. And it wouldn't matter. Trump would still be president over Kamala Harris because of the policies. But what we witnessed today, the release of the hostages. And we go on with the borders and the whole rigmarole. COVID con. That gentleman said it exactly as it should be and exactly as it is. We'd be crying about, oh, we didn't get this, or oh, this, or again, it's a straight white male that they're just mean. I want somebody to blame, so we're going to make them the devil, the villains, the Satan, the Hitler, whatever you want to call us, and you have called us. You will continue, most likely, with your hate and rage. This is what we have to look forward to if we're going to go down this path. Let's see if we can sample size this on the hit parade while we're talking about this subject.
You know, I never seen so many stupid liberals in my life. You have a president that's going to go down in history as one of the greatest presidents in American history. You have a president that got the guts to go against this global order.
That's the biggest reason, I would say, in my book. The biggest reason why Trump, and he may go down as the greatest president of all time. It's because he's got guts, not that George Washington or Abe Lincoln or any of the others didn't. But he's at least in that conversation.
One they used to call it the New World Order. That's the order of the globalists. And you got a president that's going against that and trying to fight for the American people and bring back jobs to America that has been outsourced to all these other places for decades. And he's trying to bring it back, and you folks don't want that. He's trying to free up jobs that's been taken over by illegal immigrants, and you guys don't want that. Meaning the liberal, the socialist,
Yeah, he doesn't want people with commercial truck driver's licenses who can't read English, who have already proven they could kill multiple people on the road. Not to take the fact he's been here 10 years on an asylum deal. You know, that should be weeks. 6 months at the most. They should make a determination of that. Either you're in or out. Your asylum claim is legal or not.
Marxist party. But guess what? Donald Trump and the Republican Party continue to fight on, folks, and we're going to stand behind them. You got a lot of folks that's leaving that party. Oh, yes, you do. People that got skin color like me, don't haul ass from the Socialist Marxist Party called.
So, little Miss Beauty wasn't an evil white man. It was guys like this and the other gentleman. They have seen the light. They no longer want to be on the plantation. They're done with it. Finished. Fait accompli. We're done with this crap. That's why they're leaving the Democratic Party.
The Democrats. You see, these folks are a lawless party, and they demonstrating it every day. So when they talk about January 6th, let's talk about what they're doing every day right now. Don't even mention January 6th no more, liberals. You don't have no room to even bring that up when you guys creating chaos and violence in all these major cities in America. So just shut your ass up. We don't want to hear from you no more. Matter of fact, we want y'all to just go away. Go away. Because you're not going to run the next election. That's going to belong to the red hats. Y'all enjoy your day. Peace and love.
Yes, we will enjoy our day. More and more of the American people, like the last two gentlemen, are seeing the light. And again, it has nothing else to do except they're seeing reality. They don't want to repeat the mistakes of the past. One of the more interesting things before we descend off the View crew, we're going to see if they hold to their word and wear the MAGA hat. Go.
Point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, it's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire.
Yeah.
If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you
Please
for
don't do
doing
that.
it.
Yeah.
So knock it right off my head. But like,
don't do
we
that.
have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing.
Well,
We're going to see if little Missy there is going to wear the MAGA hat on The View. She said for one day. But she is right. You got to call it as it is. Even Barack Obama, I agreed with him on nuclear power. I'll call him out every day because he had no balls. The difference between Trump and Obama is if they believe in a policy, Trump will do it. Barack Obama backed off of nuclear power. If we would have started building nuclear power plants under Obama in 08, all across the country, electricity would be so cheap, that the energy it took for you to move off and turn off the light would be more than actually the electricity the light's burning. And that's not really that far off. But I love those quotes. And it's absolutely just, and that's why I don't want to say that we don't want to get too bogged down in the negative. Because there's lots of positives flowing our way too, just as today. And just as people are realizing what the Schumer shutdown is doing, and they haven't been able to, with Trump, they haven't been able to maneuver him like they have other Republicans. And that's the difference between Republicans and MAGA. And why the MAGA tent is growing into the big tent Ronald Reagan talked about in the Republican Party and so on and so forth. But Trump is that, and Reagan did it to some extent. He got most of the South moved from Democrat to Republican during the Reagan administration. Not saying he didn't do anything. He's kind of started that. Tea Party revolution in 2010 was like a middle chapter. Now we have the final chapters, hopefully. We'll see how the book is written. With the MAGA movement picking this up and finishing and changing the direction of the country. We'll see how it goes, but if we play our cards
30
right,
seconds.
stand strong, we'll get it done. Sean said we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMT here in a few seconds. We'll pick up some more of this stuff on a wild and woolly Monday that has whirlwind of all sorts of things happening. Some good, some bad, some ugly. But we'll deal with it.
Here we go, 10 seconds.
I think the positive... America, PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky side guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM. Broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the former today and Ben. Join our vast video audience at Evil at B Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Columbus Day. Finally, we're back to that. Trump put it back in. Biden tried getting rid of it. If it wasn't for Christopher Columbus, you would not know modern day America as you see it. Period, end of story. That you can try and revisional history it, blame it on racism or all the other crap you're doing. You know what? You can stuff that where the sun don't shine. Reality is reality. And all across the world, we're getting to that. People from all walks of life are dealing with the reality. That's why you see the popularity of the MAGA movement, Trump. And you see people turning against that buffoon that does the Sunday show that J.D. Vance destroyed. And we really start Politicians, yes, you need to know their names, the Katie Porters, Gavin Newsoms, Schumer shutdowns, and all that. But we really should, I think, we should really stop giving light to all these other bit players in the media, shouters, bloggers, everything else that are doing that. If they don't have any attention, they're done. Shut off the money. It's like the deal with the fundraising. The Democrats are fundraising off the Schumer shutdown. I will tell you this, there will be 60 votes to bring closure on the CR quicker than a 30-06 bullet at 2,500 feet per second when the fundraising money stops. It isn't about this, that, and the other. Oh, we see the Democrats see an opportunity to raise hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. So they're going to keep it going as long until the money starts running out. This is why we did it the first of the gentlemen, and even some of the ladies now, are coming to that realization. They're dealing with reality. They're not going to play these stupid games anymore. We ran the story, the tearjerker, and we'll play a little bit more of it. Oh, the Trump administration's getting rid of commercial driver's licenses for people that are not eligible. Mainly people in the country illegally, unlawfully, or haven't completed their paperwork. Either you are an American citizen or you got a green card. That's it. And you know English. Start out from a dude from India, can't speak English, been here 10 years on an asylum deal. I want to know what asylum we got going on over in India. I haven't heard this one, but 10 years he's been here, can't speak a word of English. They're interpreting it. They're interpreting him, but they're running crocodiles. Oh, he's been here he's been working for 8 years. He's been here 10 years, been driving a truck for 8 years, and he's sending most of the money back to India. First, the first foremost, and this is why, because the guy in Florida who had a California commercial driver's license kills a bunch of people and have been in many accidents. Who now knows how many he's harmed and maimed? And he doesn't know a word of English. You know, the signs are in English on the freeway, on the roadways. Now, I don't think you should. First, it was completely ridiculous. He's been here 10 years on an asylum deal. On top of that, but they're making all these excuses. Well, just because you were evading the law for 8 years does not mean you get a pass. Well, there's statute of limitations for some things, but you're still doing it. That's why. There's no statute of limitations for murder, conspiracies, and things like that. But like this, he'd still be driving today.
India. Now he will have to start over. The U.S. Department of Transportation issued emergency rules that require the DMV to stop issuing commercial driver's licenses, or CDLs, to drivers who are not U.S. citizens or permanent residents. Even those with legal work visas, like Sharma, will be denied. It says it's doing so to improve traffic safety and close loopholes in the law.
Yes, I don't want to die on the freeway or the roadways because some dude can't read English, cannot speak English. How the hell is the highway patrolman, if he pulls over the commercial cop, how does this guy go through the scales? The weigh stations, inspection stations, and they ask him, what? We got to sit there and have 27 people run an interpreter and all this crap? No. You want to be a truck driver, first do the process. That's why they have that. Learn English. You've been here 10 years and if you can't figure it out, then you need well, you shouldn't be here. But even if you're here, you need another type of job. That job has very big life and death consequences. Jeez. I mean, this stuff just makes your head spin. Of course, Donald J., who got the Hamas-Israel war shut off, got the hostages, the 48, the 10, or the 20 living, most of the 28 deceased back. They're still saying a couple of them, they don't know where they're at under the rubble. We'll see. Hamas better not be playing games at this point. That's my best advice to them. But as we went through before, this is why more and more are gravitating to the MAGA movement led by Trump. And J.D. Vance done a hell of a job on the Sunday shows going against that other ding-dong. And you notice when they don't like it, like Katie Porter or the little sawed-off guy. When they don't like it, oh, well, I'm going to cut it off, or I'm going to end the interview, da-da-da-da-da.
In the Abraham Accords, we have to join up and get together. You can have that whole thing filled out. We had a very weak administration, worst president in the history of our country by far. And Barack Obama was not far behind, by the way.
Notice he's getting a big applause on that. Biden is good, but he said Obama. And the Jewish Knesset, which is the equivalent of our Congress and Senate, is applauding because they know the damage Barack Obama did. They know the racism that he pushed and accelerated, not only in the U.S., but across the whole world. That's why they're applauding. And Trump's got the guts to say it. None of this like, oh, there was like a deal. Oh, most of the presidents, well, I'm not going to criticize my predecessors because of this. Trump says, no, I'm going to tell you, the American people in the world, the truth.
And they did nothing with this incredible document, the Abraham Accords, but now you can fill them up. Now you have peace. You have people that really like Israel.
So if the Abraham Accords weren't put in Trump 1.0, you probably wouldn't have what you see breaking out today. This is why they didn't want Trump in. That's why the Barack Obama, Hillary, Joe Biden, FBI, CIA, the establishment didn't want Trump in 20. That's why they did the rigged election and stole it in 20 to put in a mental cripple, Joe Biden. They tried doing it in 24, but we were much more loaded for bear this time. Again, notice the applause. When Trump at the Knesset today said Joe Biden and Barack Obama were some of the worst presidents we ever had, there's no silence or booing. Applause. All you critics, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Here's Benjamin Netanyahu on Donald J. Trump.
As they vowed to do. But just at that point of maximum pressure on Israel, a man named Donald J. Trump was elected president of the United States.
Notice the applause again when Bibi says, "Oh, we in Israel were in deep Bandini. Now Donald Trump is in charge." And this is what happened.
And ladies and gentlemen, overnight, everything changed.
Overnight, January 20th, 12 noon, District of Criminals, 2025. It changed immediately. This is from Netanyahu.
Everything.
We felt it right here.
As they vowed to do. But just at that point,
He went on to say Trump is probably the greatest president of all time. And I think he is. He could be. I mean, you know, that's a subjective deal. Say right now, he's definitely in the top 3. I don't think any reasonable person could even come close to doubting that. Oh, man, it'll be. I just hope we have no part that's going to hijack the momentum that we've had the last 8 months. Because America on this Columbus Day, the world, we know Butler, July 13, 2024, Trump dodged a bullet, a 223 round. On November 5th, 2024, America dodged a bullet. When the witch in charge, or who took the reins, the princess wish from Hillary, Kamala Harris, was not elected president of the United States. I don't think anybody but the most partisan kook today would even argue that. And this is another reason why.
It is an honor, of course, to be with you this week as we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, as we speak truth about our nation's history. Since 1934, every October, the United States has recognized the voyage of the European explorers who first landed on the shores of the Americas.
Can't even say Christopher Columbus, who among other things proved the earth wasn't flat. First thing, lady, the truth is we have celebrated Columbus Day. And it was Christopher Columbus and his merry band of explorers which opened up the world and discovered and made it possible for the Americas you see today, you complete buffoon.
But that is not the whole story. That has never been the whole story.
Those explorers ushered in a wave of devastation for tribal nations, perpetrating violence, stealing land, and spreading disease.
That's, and I've got Indian blood in me, and I'm glad, because if it was left to them, we would still be in teepees, hoping not to starve to death, that we could hunt enough food that we could survive, which they were doing when we got here, when America was formed. But you know, it's that evil white man. He just saw the Indians. Oh, we're going to kill them. One way, we'll either shoot them or spread disease. Oh, you're the biggest disease spreader with your blanked up food, your chemicals, your COVID con shots, and everything else. You and your crew inflicted on everyone. Gosh, what a loon. AB 495 was signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom today. People, grab a hold of you are ceding control of your kids, and this is a step-by-step method, and they're using this whole thing of kids coming across illegally, and then we know the cartels, we had the whistleblowers and everything else on it, picking them up. The good-looking ones got sold in the slave trade. The ugly ones are working in the meat packing plants or in the fields picking tomatoes. Here's first the KCRA report.
Legislature would streamline processes for temporary guardianship, and caregiver arrangements for children.
Yeah, it's called the Family Preparedness Act of 2025. The bill's author wrote it in response to immigration enforcement actions that could cause parents being separated from their kids. The bill creates a new process for short-term guardianships in probate court. Now, this allows parents to designate someone to care for their children temporarily.
If you know where the parents are, then what's the problem? If they're in jail, then that's why we have the Department of Public Services and all that that's grown into the behemoth it is. Well, we'll just turn them over. Then they try to say, oh, to this and to that. AB 495 puts every child at risk, allows any adult to claim they are the child's caregiver by signing a caregiver's authorization affidavit. Do you think the cartel members running this stuff and trafficking them, whether sex or labor trafficking or God knows what? Oh, yeah, they'll sign any document you want. Requires no parent consent, no notification, no photo, no court review, no background check. Oh, but they'll be able to go to probate and what? No. They sign the document, they turn the kid over to whomever. The amount of evil these cats have got is beyond the pale. I mean, it seems like day after day after day. They think they do. They've been conning the most so long, they really believe you're that stupid. And Prop 50 in California, they're going to see if Californians are still that stupid. If you vote for this, remember your teachers. Go look at your. You don't believe this? Go look at your teachers that you think is just absolutely great and doing teaching your kid well. They are pushing with your money Prop 50 with a total lie campaign. You want me to trust teachers when they are lying through their teeth? And please come in here and we'll have a discussion about it. Because it is not because Texas is redistricting. It's not because Trump called Abbott and said, do this. It's because Joe Biden sued the state of Texas and the court said, yeah, you have to redistrict. So the Trump administration, the DOJ is saying, hey, Abbott, if you don't redistrict your state because you are in violation of the 64 Civil Rights Act that you guys all praise up there, which the voting part was good, the Jim Crow law was good, the rest of it was crap. And the rest of it was to invade your freedoms. Invade your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Man, oh man, sometimes. That's teachers. You're paying for it. You're paying for the lies that are being told to the state of California voters. Absolutely. I wouldn't have guessed that we would have got to the point where teachers would just flat out lie, from Randy Weingarten on down to California Teachers Association and everyone involved in the school system practically. There's a few good guys like Nick Perdue and Steve Campos that are on some of the school boards that are teachers. But they're very few and far between. Get to some of the local news stories on iNewsWire, of course. Illegals and such, those not eligible, are out of the driver's seat for California commercial driver's license, which if you got a CDL in any state, you can drive anywhere. That's why it's a federal deal. That's why the federal government can say, hey, no, we're not having people that can't even speak English. We're not having any more people killed on the highways because of this. Fatal shooting in Hemet at the Jack in the Box at Florida and Sanderson. Action Eye News was on top of that with some great video. You can go check it out. From them, Purdue cops and kids, the SWAT team and the canines were out, gave a demonstration and interaction with some of the kids out at San Bernardino. So good job on that. Arrest in a Homeland homicide. Almost said suicide, but Homeland homicide. Suspect was arrested there. Of course, happy Columbus Day, United States of America. Columbus Day. Columbus Day. We get to this maybe next week. Protecting immigrants or illegals. A new law coming out. Let states resist the Trump immigration agenda. Expands privacy notifications. Blah, blah, blah. A skydiver died jumping at a plane in Paris. So condolences to his family and loved ones. Of course, yes. All 20 living Israeli hostages released by Hamas today. Paris Patrol, they were out there catching some of the dudes with guns and all that other good stuff. Survey says I sucks. Maybe we'll get to that later on in the weekend. Dr. Kelly, for those of you, should be in on Wednesday. She had some other things to do today and tomorrow, but But hopefully we'll have her back on there. Take it away, Sean.
Check your email, Roy. Dr. Kelly responded because of the weather tomorrow that she'll probably be able to join you tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll do it tomorrow.
She has some weather, you know what I mean, the
Yeah,
East Coast
right.
that screwed up her travel plans. So
Good. No, I can do it either way. Okay.
So
Thanks
yeah,
for the heads up.
check your email because she just responded to that about half an hour ago. So
Okie doke. Yeah, well then we'll have her on tomorrow.
all right, cool.
You got it.
Cool. I'll talk to you then.
You got it. Bye.
Bye now.
Let's see. Turn this off.